A sharp rise in US emissions is sending shockwaves through the global climate fight. And it's not just a blip on the radar. New data reveals that greenhouse gas pollution in the US surged in the first half of 2025, pushing global emissions higher than the same period last year. This troubling trend, experts warn, could signal a dangerous shift in the race to limit catastrophic climate change. But here's where it gets controversial: the US. Once a climate leader under President Biden, is now backsliding under Donald Trump's pro-fossil fuel agenda. Could this policy reversal doom global efforts to stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming? Let's break it down. The Rhodium Group's latest analysis paints a grim picture. Since Trump's return to the White House, the US has experienced the most abrupt policy shift in energy and climate history, according to the report. This abrupt pivot is slowing the pace of emissions reductions by nearly half compared to the progress made over the last 2 decades. While the US still projects a 26 to 35% cut in emissions by 2035 from 2005 levels, this falls far short of the 38 to 56% target set just a year ago under Biden's leadership. And this is the part most people miss. Even the best-case scenario, where renewables boom and fossil fuels crash, only gets the US to a 43% reduction by 2040. That's still well below Biden's original goal and dangerously inadequate to meet the Paris Agreement's ambitions. The stakes? The US remains the world's largest historical emitter of carbon pollution. Without aggressive action, it's hard to see how the nation can fulfill its role in averting a climate crisis. Scientists warn we've only got 2 years left to stay within the 1.5 degrees limit. Yet the US is now on track for a 1.8 degrees Celsius pathway at best. With a key UN climate summit in Brazil this November, the lack of US leadership is leaving the rest of the world scrambling to fill the void. But how did we get here? Trump's drill baby drill playbook has been relentless. Federal lands and waters are now open for drilling. The Paris Agreement's targets have been discarded, and regulations limiting pollution are being dismantled. Renewable energy incentives are vanishing. And projects like offshore wind farms and battery factories are being cancelled or delayed. Think this is just politics? The human cost is real. Nearly 65,000 clean energy jobs have been lost or stalled since Trump took office, and household energy bills are rising as cheaper renewables disappear from the grid. The evidence is already mounting. In the first half of 2025 alone, US emissions rose by 1.4% compared to 2024, with Brazil's emissions surging similarly. Together, these trends pushed global emissions slightly higher than in the previous year, a red flag for climate negotiators. Even a flatlining of emissions is a bad sign, says Ben King of Rhodium Group. We need steep declines, not stagnation. And this is where the debate gets fiery. Critics argue that Trump's policies are a self-inflicted wound on the clean energy economy, while supporters claim they're protecting jobs and energy independence. Do you think the US can still lead the charge on climate change, or is it too late? Share your thoughts in the comments. After all, the next few years will determine whether we're on track for a livable future or a climate catastrophe. The world is watching, and the clock is ticking.